Welcome to the Asbestos Knowledge Empire.
What does asbestos management mean to you?
I used to really struggle with the asbestos management at my site, but now it's a breeze.
It used to be really expensive. I was paying loads, but now I've got my asbestos power team in place. It's so much easier.
Asbestos can be a pain in the arse if not handled right.
We had to stop the job because asbestos was discovered. Now we don't have that problem.
Asbestos management is easier than you think. Asbestos management. Be proactive, not reactive. Think about asbestos first, not last.
And now your hosts, best-selling authors and asbestos experts, Ian Stone and Neil Munro.
Welcome to the Asbestos Knowledge Empire. I'm Ian Stone.
I'm Neil Munro.
So today we're here with Michelle Niziol. Michelle, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Ian. My name's Michelle Niziol and I own 5 independent companies across property and finance, and I'm also a property investor myself.
Wow, okay. So five companies. Do you want to give us a bit of a background on
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So I own a mortgage and insurance brokerage, an estate agency, a lettings company. I've got a property investment firm and a property sourcing company as well. So basically offer an end-to-end service for pretty much anything you can do within property. So
literally everything property.
Yeah, call me a control freak, shall we say. So they do say that women are quite controlling, but yeah, so I like to be able to, the reason I set up those businesses was I like to be able to offer, one client every single service, so they're not going anywhere else.
That makes sense.
And so that, through any transaction that they can think of, that, we can basically facilitate that. So it's, it's a high-end service, but mainly we are dealing with clients who are looking to build on portfolios. So, purchasing sort of 10 or more properties per client.
Yeah. Okay, so how did you kind of get into that property sort of background? Where does that come from?
Yeah, so I bought my first house when I was 18.
Yeah.
And then
That's an achievement in itself.
Yeah, thank you. And then, so always had a fascination with running my own business, always been fascinated with money, but not, negatively.
Yeah.
And always been fascinated in property. So bought my first house when I was 18 with my husband.
Yeah.
And then moved on to investing in a buy-to-let portfolio. So realised quite quickly that, there was growth in the property.
Yeah.
So by the time I was sort of 19, there was growth in the property already. So we remortgaged, refinanced, took money out, went and bought our first buy-to-let, and literally it just snowballed from there.
Wow.
So so from my early 20s, we had quite a large property portfolio.
Wow, okay. So did you used to get involved with refurbishing the houses and stuff like that?
We handle refurbishment. So I handle the refurbishment of properties myself.
Yeah.
Built my own house.
Yeah.
And also we handle the refurbishment of investment properties for clients. So refurbishment is, quite an important part of what we do, because especially on the investment side, you want that property to be of a certain level so that when tenants are coming in, that they want to live there.
Because it makes an easy sell.
Yeah, it makes an easy sell. And also, why wouldn't you want to do that for somebody? If it feels like it's their home, then they're going to look after it. And at the end of the day, it is an asset for growth.
Yeah.
So, definitely we handle the refurbishments.
Wow, okay, cool. So obviously this podcast is about asbestos.
Yes.
And obviously we spoke before the interview, and we kind of wanted to highlight, because obviously you're dealing with properties on a day-to-day basis, and if you don't mind sort of giving us information on how many sort of like properties and mortgages and stuff that you get involved with.
We lend into the hundreds of millions when it comes to finance.
Yeah.
And I do think there's a real lack of education when it comes to asbestos.
Yeah.
So with asbestos, so bearing in mind the amount of mortgages that we deal with on a daily, monthly, yearly basis.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
I'd probably say only a handful of those ever come up for looking for an asbestos specialist report.
Yeah.
Really?
And the ones that I've come across have been the ones where the ceilings are Artex, and you're not talking that old. So I bought some properties for a client about 6 months ago on a new build estate. sort of newer build estate based in Bicester.
Yeah.
And so I would probably say the property was around 1995.
Okay.
And it had Artex ceiling in the ensuite. I don't know if that's a thing with ensuites as to why it was Artex, but it was Artex. And although it didn't look like there was any movement or any issues with it, the mortgage lender, on a standard survey, I've got to say, it wasn't a home buyer survey, on a standard survey, came back and said, you know, I would probably go for an asbestos or a specialist report just to ensure that now that was the first time that I actually knew asbestos was in Artexing, and that could potentially be a problem for you know, mortgage lenders for a start, and also obviously, you know, you want to make sure that when you're buying properties for clients that the tenants are going to be safe. So that came up as an issue. We got an independent report and it was absolutely fine because that hadn't been disturbed. There wasn't a massive amount of asbestos in it.
So it was a positive sample as well.
It was a so it was a positive outcome because obviously it was absolutely fine. There was no remedial action needed, because I know if the remedial action was needed, then obviously you're looking.
It was going to cost hundreds, if not thousands, to put right.
Absolutely.
That's a very good example, because if you actually look at asbestos in texture coating, so the final prohibition of asbestos in this country is November 1999, and asbestos texture coating is believed to have kind of been cut off from adding asbestos into it around 92. So
kind of a voluntary industry ban on itself, but
yeah, so if going in for the 1995, that's a very good example of, okay, well that's taken over that date a little bit. So it could have been an old stock that's been used.
Builder's got some stock still, got it in his yard, and well, I'm gonna use it and get rid of it. And we've seen that like time and again, but that's a really good example of
because when people think about houses, you know, 1995, it's not that long ago, is it? And obviously to identify asbestos in that property.
But I don't think it's something. It's certainly, you know, I'm experienced in the property industry, not with the actual what you guys do. But and it's not something that anybody is well educated on. So it's not something you're taught going through mortgage broker training or
just highlighted in the surveys now and again, and that's about
every now and again. So you know, I think like what you are doing at the moment with your podcasting and getting the message out there is great, because you know, obviously I don't know the ins and outs of asbestos, but what I do know is obviously it's not great and it's not great for your health. But even I don't understand, you know, you know, what we should be looking out for. Should an asbestos survey be done on every single house? I mean, obviously it's not law. I don't know what the HSE website recommends, but it's definitely not something that we've ever been taught to focus on.
The domestic one is really a funny one, because there is no set regulations that, you know, you have to do something in your own home.
The domestic market's a little bit like the Wild West still, in comparison to commercial, because there's full regulations around non-domestic properties and how to manage the asbestos. But for the domestic market, it's kind of, as long as you're not doing anything too untoward and you're not hurting other people, you can kind of do what you want, and the risks are kind of self-managed, if you like, which...
There are regulations in place that put requirements on employers going into domestic properties. So, for instance, if an electrician was coming to your house, they've got a responsibility to identify if asbestos is there before they start works. So there is that law in place. So if you are having sort of refurbishment works,
that's never come up with any trades that we work with. So obviously people are not following, you know, and spotting. Is stuff like that regulated? So is it, you know, it's something that isn't mandatory at the moment?
It is law. So it is actually a legal requirement. So for an employer to make an assessment on whether their work's going to disturb asbestos in any property.
Right.
Now that could be something simple as, okay, I'm a gas fitter. All I'm doing is coming to service your brand new boiler, and I know it's brand new because the date and stickers on there. So I know there's no asbestos in there, and it could be an assessment like that.
Right.
However, if it was an older boiler, then they've got a duty to go, okay, it's in a construction date of in and around asbestos. They need to get that checked to see if they're going to disturb anything. Okay,
so on the letting side, we have we do Legionnaire's risk assessments.
Yeah.
So although again, guidance on the HSE website is that, a health and safety risk assessment has got to be performed. There's no, it's not law that you have to have a certificate or anything like that. On our lettings portfolio, my personal one and all our landlords, we do get it done, because my thing is, well, how can I protect my landlords in the event that somebody contracts Legionnaire's disease? Yeah. I feel it's my duty to make sure that we're protecting them as much as possible. Yeah. So where do we stand with asbestos in, because obviously, let's just say we haven't had any surveys done. Where do we stand with that? How do we know there's asbestos in there? Should we be getting reports done?
Yeah, there's a few areas really to look at. So if you've got any communal areas, so communal staircases in flats, blocks of flats, external areas, bin cupboards and stuff like that, that is a non-domestic area, so you have got a duty to manage asbestos in there. So that would fall into a requirement to do something.
So for that, you'd need to have an assessment done. Normally that would be a management survey, a sampling survey, and then a register is produced off of the back of the survey of anything that is asbestos. So that would cover, like Neil said, the communal areas, bin cupboards, communal lofts, the external of the property, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and then obviously making sure that it's okay, keeping regular checks on it. You'd have to have a bit of a management procedure on how you're going to manage that. So that could include how you can prevent tenants disturbing it, what do you do with contractors going in doing works within those areas, etc. So that's the non-domestic areas.
Yeah.
When you then go into the tenanted areas, there's no sort of asbestos regulations to say you must do X, Y, and Z. However, it would come down to the general, as a landlord, you have to protect the well-being of your tenants.
Yeah.
So that was where it would fall into.
It kind of falls under the duty of care, doesn't it?
Yeah. So if you have got asbestos in there and it's in a poor condition, then you're not sort of...
Yeah. Now, as somebody who wouldn't be able to recognise what is in asbestos and what isn't, what can you give us any tips or pointers for, someone like me who's buying property on a daily basis for clients? I understand now artexing.
Yes, that's a very common.
Is there anything else that we should be looking out for?
In houses, you
it depends on the period.
So ex-local authority houses, and I know investors, they like buying the old grubby houses and doing them up and sort of doing that. Yeah,
they're the most rife.
They're the most rife for them.
And where can you find asbestos? Is it...
everywhere.
Yeah, it could be in floor coverings.
Right.
It could be in
See, I wouldn't even know that.
Yeah, so the old sort of vinyl tiles and stuff like that. Linos, you can get it in.
The bitumen adhesive that the flooring's laid on.
Yeah, and the damp-proof courses on the buildings would have been asbestos. And
soffits, guttering, roof tiles.
Wow.
Flue pipes.
Yeah,
boilers.
Overall, the kind of the figure that's banded around asbestos is that it was put into over 5,000 products. From the stuff we've said: rope, seals, gaskets, yarns, insulation, boards. The list goes on and on and on.
So when did somebody find out that this product is a problem?
Well, if you look at the history of asbestos, it's very dark and smoke-screened industry. If you look back into the Greeks and the Romans, they were writing about using asbestos, and they were writing about how it killed all their slaves because they were using it and making stuff out of it. So
they were making notes on the fact that we're using this magic mineral. It's great, however, it's killing our slaves.
We're here in 2019 talking about the same thing.
Yeah.
So
it's always been around then.
Yeah, and people sort of link it. It's similar to smoking. We've known for years that smoking kills us, but yet the government and industry sort of put smoke screens around it to say it's okay.
Definitely.
Are we still using it then?
Not in this country.
No. Not at all. It's totally banned.
Totally banned from November '99. It was finally banned. Other countries around the world, the developing countries, such as India and Asian market, they're importing asbestos from places like Russia, and they're still using it in the kind of same way that we used it en masse. I mean, we imported the most in the world post-war, and that's how they're kind of using it now to boom their economic growth and the population growth that they're seeing.
Yeah, Ian's quite right. The real big boom we is post-war, where we constructed like lots of schools, hospitals, lots of housing. All of those properties were, asbestos was used in constructing them. So,
yeah,
it's massive.
phenomenal. So it's a massive. But you've created a great business out of it.
Yeah, we're trying to educate people. That's our main focus now. Of like, it still amazes me. Like the Regulation 4 duty to manage has been around since 2002. It was enforced in 2004, and yet we're in 2019, and we're still come across businesses that have no idea, have never had a survey.
I think that is a lot of the public.
Yeah.
Like, I think that is a lot of,
Yeah.
like I said, I mean, I'm in property and I don't know a massive amount about asbestos.
Yeah.
I think because until something becomes, again, it is all about education, like you're doing, So unless people put stuff out there, I think people just freak out because they think it's such a scary prospect. They think it's going to cost an awful lot of money. When you hear the word asbestos and that's tied to a house, you just think, oh no, can't be bothered. It's going to cost me tens of thousands of pounds. Yeah. And I think that's the thing that you're probably working on, isn't it? It doesn't necessarily have to cost tens of thousands of pounds.
Yeah, I mean, just because the property's got asbestos in it doesn't mean it's a no-go.
Yeah.
If it's in a good condition, it's not going to be disturbed by the tenants or any refurb works, then it's fine. It can be managed and just stay in situ. That's not
and
an
actually
issue.
probably most property have got some form of asbestos.
Millions of houses will have an asbestos product in them, even if it's just a damp-proof course or something like that.
One way, shape, or form. One of the big ones that a lot of houses have got are stainless steel sinks. Under the bottom of the stainless steel sink, either on the sink or the draining board itself, is a little black pad. And they can contain asbestos, little black mastic pads.
So you wouldn't know. And how would you test? So for someone like me, who obviously is buying a lot of property, how would you test for asbestos in there?
Yeah.
What is it that like you would go in and test, or is there like a kit? How you actually go about doing it?
There isn't a kit. The way that samples are tested for asbestos is a process called polarised light microscopy, and so it's a physical sample.
Easy to say when you have a drink.
Yeah, exactly.
So basically we have to get a physical sample of the product, take it to a lab, fire bizarre, look for within the material, they're extracted, and then it goes through a checking process.
But like for me walking around a property, how would I even because you can't take samples of
here, there and
everything.
Yeah.
We've recently done a video highlighting some stuff in social housing and the types of materials, but it's kind of the best kind of way to look at it is that the age of the property.
Right.
So if it's kind of, like Neil said earlier, I mean, early 90s industry kind of stopped using a lot of asbestos. So the kind of the peak time was from 1950 up to mid 80s really for asbestos. So if you've got a property of that age group, and especially the social housing type properties, and it has got floor tiles in, it has got Artex in, boarding on the back of boiler cupboard doors, things like that. They're kind of like the ones that wave at you when you walk into a property. You think, right, as a surveyor, I'm definitely going to be sampling that, and that's kind of that gives you the overall view of what to look for, really.
Yeah, definitely. If you're looking at housing, is like you said, the ceiling coatings, any old sort of flooring, and like Ian said, stuff on back of doors, where they've added heat protection.
Yeah.
And then other things like cement flue pipes and corrugated garage roofs, generally they're asbestos containing.
Yeah.
They're kind of the main ones in and around housing, I would say.
Yeah, most common ones.
Yeah. So if you're looking at a property and you're seeing those types of materials, then that would be an indication. So at that point, I'd be kind of thinking, well, actually, I want to rip up this floor because it's disgusting, and I want to put a new one in. At that point, I'd be thinking, well, I need to factor in the cost of having a survey done of the house, as well as factoring in any kind of removal costs as well.
But on the back of that, the message that we're trying to get across to property developers and investors is thinking about it first. So before you're actually purchasing the property, get a survey done, because you may
and how much would a survey cost?
Of a standard domestic property,
Yeah.
you're probably looking around £100 to £200.
Yeah, so it's not a lot, is it?
No. It's literally like, a couple of £100.
Yeah.
For the average size.
And then how often would you recommend that a survey is carried out? So if you find asbestos in a property and you're like, right, it's fine as long as it's not disturbed, would you then do another survey? Like, would you recommend another survey in, say, 5 years or...?
Yeah, there's no. It depends on the original scope of that survey. So if you completely went to town and opened up the entire property to identify everything, then you shouldn't need another survey done. But it depends on whether you've left stuff there, and there's no requirement in the domestic setting to actually go back and recheck it. But it would be good practice to sort of like review what was actually there. So if you have got stuff, to make sure it's in good condition and it's maintained in that good condition.
Yeah. So if we did a management survey of a house and management survey downstairs, but we did a refurbishment survey upstairs, and then in 5 years' time you're going to refurbish downstairs, at that point I'd recommend having a refurbishment survey of downstairs being done, because the management survey it's a non-intrusive survey. It's a sampling survey, so we take really small samples of materials, but we don't open up voids, we don't access into wall voids, into ceiling voids, anything like that. Whereas on a refurbishment survey, that's kind of the level that we do. So if a wall was going to be removed, well, we'd cut access holes into that wall to make sure there's nothing in the wall void or anything untoward in and around that area.
And then how much, say for your typical 2 up, 2 down, how much would you be looking at for like the removal of asbestos if it's there as a problem? Because that's, as an investor myself, straight away you hear, it's like the B word for Brexit, you hear it and you're just like, oh no. And it's the same with asbestos, the handful of times that I have had something to do with it, we just gone, just pray that there is, the report comes back okay. So I've never actually, in all the time I've been doing this 20 odd years, actually had to deal with the removal or the remedial actions of asbestos. So how much are we looking at just for,
It is a tricky one because
I know it's like how long is a piece of string.
It depends
but
on
at the
the
same
material
time,
and where it is and how it's fixed.
But it could be like what? Hundreds to thousands or?
Yeah, I mean, like, so if you take like a garage, a single garage, probably looking, I don't know, anywhere between 500 and 750 quid to get it removed.
It doesn't have to cost the earth, does it?
No, it doesn't.
However, if you had like a whole property which had asbestos actually carried in and floor tiles throughout, which is quite common in there,
you'd be looking at a few £1,000s.
Yeah, but again, it's not tens of thousands, so we don't need to be freaking out about. Right, it comes back and it's a positive, there's been damage there and the asbestos needs to be looked at. Because before speaking to you, my clients would be freaking out and so would I probably.
Yeah. However, if it was maybe a larger property and it had an old boiler which had pipes running through it which were insulated with asbestos insulation, that would be then going into, and that was throughout. That would be very.
So it doesn't have, obviously dependent on the problem, but it doesn't have to cost the earth.
No.
But obviously, if you pay to have a full asbestos survey done and the place is riddled with it, then obviously you're probably not gonna go through the rigmarole of actually spending tens of thousands of pounds trying to get that right, unless that's been built into the budget.
Exactly, unless it was like really worthwhile doing.
Yeah. But then there's other options, if it is identified, there was a redundant pipe in the floor which was insulated with asbestos, there's options there, you could maybe encase it and leave it there. It's just whether you'd want that in your property or not.
Yeah.
So there's always an option.
Yeah. But it just doesn't have to be as. I think it's because it's the unknown that really scares people.
Yeah, I think a lot of people think of asbestos as it's going to creep out and it's going to get me. And, it's going to
get you in the middle of the night.
And also
you're going to die overnight.
Exactly.
That's another thing. Like you just think, oh no.
Yeah, I've got a cough.
What's
going on?
People also think, I've got asbestos, I've got to get it removed. And it's like, well, no, you don't have to. It can be okay left.
Yeah.
And that is, that's part of the message because, again, I think a lot of people hear the word asbestos and think, right, well, I've got to get it removed, it's going to cost thousands and thousands of pounds and so on and so on, but that really isn't the case, generally speaking. So.
Yeah.
was good. That was a really good chat.
Yeah, we wanted to do.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me on your show.
Thank you for coming on.
Appreciate you with your open answers and stuff. Yeah,
it's good. Just before we go, it's great to get different people from different sectors on because asbestos isn't spoken about a lot.
Yeah.
So somebody who's in property has come on and spoken about it, and it's been very good.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, lovely.
Hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, asbestos first, not last.